For our anniversary, my wife insisted on inviting her friends. That's when her guy best friend, who I was meeting for the first time, got hammered. Hey, remember that one time we got wasted? He slurred, draping an arm over my wife's shoulders. We ended up taking a bath together. Was that at my place or yours? A chorus of suggestive whoops and whistles erupted from our friends. My wife, Ava, blushed, her tone more playful than angry. Dylan, what are you talking about? Look how much you've had to drink, saying crazy stuff in front of my husband. Dylan shot me a sideways glance. Hey man, friends are all about having a good time. Loosen up a little. Whoa, Dylan's got stories. Damn, Ava, you play for keeps. And with your husband right here. The eyes of Ava's friends all swiveled to me. I smiled. Slowly, I placed my knife and fork on the plate, dabbed my lips with a napkin, and then looked at Dylan Hayes. Since we're all playing for keeps. I paused, letting the words hang in the air. Then I guess I'll go big tonight, too. I picked up the half-full bottle of Royal Salute from the table, stood, and walked over to Dylan. The smug look on his face hadn't quite faded before a flicker of confusion replaced it. The next second, the heavy glass bottle met his temple with a clean, sharp impact. Crack! The sickening thud silenced the entire private room. Whiskey and blood streamed down Dylan's face. He clutched his head and let out a blood-curdling scream. Lucas, what the F is wrong with you? The room exploded into chaos and shrieks. Ava stared for a few seconds, then rushed to Dylan's side. Dylan, oh my God, are you okay? She whirled on me, her voice shrill. Lucas, are you insane? Why would you hit him? I looked right at her. It's just a game, right? What's wrong with going big? I shrugged. Aren't friends supposed to have a good time? Well, now I'm having a good time. She was speechless, so she defaulted to damage control. We were just drunk back then. Nothing happened. He's just joking around. I pulled a few napkins from the dispenser, walked over to Dylan, and held them out. He flinched away from me, terrified. I pressed the napkins into his hand, my voice as calm and soothing as if I were talking to a child who'd misbehaved. Sorry about that, man. I thought we were all buddies here. We're all just joking around, right? No hard feelings. Beneath the pain and fear, his eyes burned with hatred. Good. Just then, my phone rang. It was my assistant, Leo. I answered, listened for a moment, then announced to the room. Urgent business at the office. I have to go. I turned and walked out without a backward glance. Behind me, Ava's voice was a desperate cry. Lucas, you get back here, you bastard. I didn't break my stride, just tilted my head back slightly. Are you coming or not? She froze, looking from me to Dylan moaning on the floor. He, clutching his head, couldn't resist a final, passive-aggressive jab. Ava, it's fine. I'm fine. You should go with your husband. Don't make him angry. Ava grit her teeth, grabbed her purse, and followed me out. The ride home was thick with a tension that felt like it could shatter glass. The reek of alcohol filled the car as she, slurring through a fresh wave of tears, kept insisting it was no big deal. No big deal. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. The guy tells me to my face he took a bath with my wife, and it's no big deal. I didn't say a word. Half an hour after we got home, Ava emerged from the bathroom, her eyes puffy and red. Lucas, what is your problem? Today is our wedding anniversary. Did you have to ruin it like this? You've completely humiliated me. I looked at her, my voice flat. So, she did remember what today was. Your humiliation. My question stopped her for a second, but she quickly found her footing. Did you have to hit him that hard? He's got a huge gash on his head. He needs stitches. Her voice rose. He's my only guy friend. What more do you want? Do you want to drive away everyone in my life until you're satisfied? Is that how much you need to control me? I finally lifted my eyes to meet hers. So, let me get this straight. He's allowed to casually humiliate your husband, and I'm supposed to smile and applaud him for it. That's not what I meant, she shot back, launching into a tantrum, her go-to tactic. But he's my best friend. We grew up together. Why can't you just be the bigger person? I stood up and walked toward the study. I had no interest in listening to this pointless noise. You have one night, I said, pausing at the door. One night to figure out exactly who humiliated whom. Just before the door clicked shut, I added one last thing. And if you can't figure it out, then don't bother. The next day, Ava's text was a complete reversal. Honey, I was so wrong last night. I booked a table at your favorite steakhouse. I'll be waiting for you after work. She was already there when I arrived, wearing the white dress I always liked, her eyes still a little red, the picture of contrition. Lucas, you're here. I'm so sorry. I was awful yesterday. Dilla didn't mean it, either. He grew up in Europe, you know. He's just more open when he talks. He doesn't have a filter. He knows he messed up. He was texting me all night, apologizing. I sliced into the A5 Wagyu on my plate, not looking at her. All I could picture were Dylan's eyes last night, filled with a venomous, triumphant challenge. That wasn't the look of a friend. When I remained silent, she ventured, "Honey, Dylan's been so good to me. He's like a brother." She took a breath. "Maybe, in the future, you could try to be friends with him." Is there really such a thing as a platonic friendship between a man and a woman like that? I set down my utensils, took a sip of water, and still said nothing. Soft jazz filled the silence of the restaurant. I remembered the first time I met her years ago at a dinner hosted by her father. She was wearing a white dress then, too. Quiet, sitting in a corner, her eyes clear and filled with a mix of admiration and curiosity for me, the up-and-coming tech mogul. Her father had told me, "She's a good girl, always been quiet, doesn't have a messy group of friends. Her only guy friend moved abroad, and she's been even more of an introvert since." Back then, I thought I was marrying a delicate flower from a greenhouse, one who needed careful protection. But now, sitting across from me, she was cautious, walking on eggshells. With her pack of sycophants, though, she could laugh without restraint, without a single taboo. People change. Or maybe this was the real her, the one I'd never seen. My silence was making her anxious. She clasped her hands together, leaning forward just enough to show a tasteful amount of cleavage. "Lucas, please don't be mad anymore. I promise I'll never let them make jokes like that again." Just then, her phone buzzed. A FaceTime call from one of her friends. She instinctively moved to decline it, but my sharp glance stopped her. "Answer it." She had no choice. The screen lit up with the heavily made-up faces of several of her friends. "Ava, so, how's the groveling going with your big shot CO? Forget him. Let's get to it. Next week's pajama party is booked." "Yeah," and Dylan said, to make it up to us and to get the party started, he's going to wear that black thong. He's going to be our one and only boy toy. The color drained from Ava's face. She fumbled to end the call. "You guys stop talking nonsense. I'm at dinner." I took the phone from her hand. I looked at the frozen, painted faces on the screen and said calmly, "That party you were just talking about sounds interesting." Then, I turned my gaze to Ava's ghostly white face and smiled. She'd love to be there. I'm sure she's already debating whether to wear the black lace or the white silk. With that, I hung up. Ava was trembling and immediately held up 3 fingers as if taking an oath. "Lucas, I don't know what they were talking about. I swear, I would never go to some stupid party like that." Her voice cracked. "If I go, I hope I drop dead from a disease." I wiped my mouth with my napkin and stood up. I looked at her face, a mask of sincerity, and laughed to myself. Knowing her, she'd absolutely go. Let's hope so. After that night, Ava was unusually well-behaved for a few days. She didn't mention Dylan, came home on time every evening, and even tried her hand at making gourmet soup. The soup tasted indescribable. On Friday, she presented me with a bowl of murky, black liquid. "Honey, try it. I spent all afternoon on this." I didn't move. Her eyes welled up. "You're still mad at me." I just stared at her face, a study in obsequiousness, and felt nothing. That evening, she suddenly announced she was staying at her parents' house for the night to keep them company. She was dressed to the nines and wearing the limited edition perfume I'd bought her. A few moments after she left, Leo called. "Boss, Mr. Henderson has arrived. The meeting is for 8 p.m. tonight at the Apex Club in the city." Understood. The club manager personally escorted me to the executive suite on the top floor. Through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, I had a clear view of the VIP lounge in the adjacent building, its lights blazing, figures moving inside. Leo, following behind me, let out a low whistle. "Wow, the girls these days really go all out, huh? A full-blown lingerie party." I followed his gaze. A crowd of women in various states of revealing sleepwear writhed and laughed like a pack of wildcats in heat. My eyes landed on one figure in particular, clad in black lace. It was Ava. Leo recognized her too and immediately shut his mouth. Just a few days ago, she was swearing on her life she wouldn't go. Looks like her life isn't worth much. I pushed open the suite door and walked straight across the sky bridge connecting the buildings. The door to their lounge wasn't locked. The scene inside was even more vivid up close. Ava had lost a party game and was being forced to pass a cherry, mouth to Dylan, who was wearing nothing but a black thong. Her own black lace teddy was practically transparent. Amid the jeers and catcalls of her friends, Dylan wore a triumphant smirk and opened his mouth wide. I didn't watch anymore. I kicked open the heavy lounge door with a single, violent motion. Bang! The explosive sound ripped through the room, jolting everyone into terrified silence. When they saw me, Ava's friends let out piercing screams. The cherry dropped from Ava's mouth. Her face was as white as a sheet. Dylan, however, just laughed. He licked his lips, a clear challenge in his eyes. I thought we said no guys allowed. Mr. Thorne, your need for control is really something else. Ava snapped out of her shock and started making excuses. Lucas, what are you doing here? We were just playing a game. I walked over to her, stripped off my suit jacket, and threw it over her, covering her half-naked body. You can play all the games you want later, I said, my voice dangerously low. First, we're getting a divorce. The divorce. Ava's voice trembled. Over this. Lucas, just let me explain. She reached for my arm, but I pulled away. Right now, you are still Mrs. Thorne. Go change out of that ridiculous outfit. I grabbed her wrist and dragged her toward the bathroom. Inside, she was still sobbing. Lucas, we were just joking around. Everyone was having fun. I admit, things got a little out of hand tonight. Just then, the bathroom door creaked open. Dylan, wearing only a towel, leaned against the doorframe, a sleazy grin on his face. Lucas, let go of Ava. Can't you see she doesn't want to go with you? I looked at him and chuckled. Are you talking to me? My wife is in a bathroom trying to change, and you just barge in like this? That's not a great look, is it? Before he could process my words, I drove my foot into his stomach. I grabbed a fistful of his hair and slammed his face against the marble countertop. Thump, thump, thump. He was completely powerless, his protests turning into muffled whimpers. I let go, and he slid to the floor like a pile of wet laundry. His eyes, though filled with terror, held something else. A hidden glint I couldn't quite place. I looked down at him. That's twice now. My voice was cold. A third time, and I'll make you disappear from New York. Without another glance at a shell-shocked Ava, I smoothed out my shirt and walked out of the bathroom. Back in the executive suite, a woman in a powerful red pantsuit was sitting on the sofa, radiating authority. It was Isabella Chun, the biggest material supplier out of Chicago. Leo was in the middle of a presentation, and they were sharing a laugh. The door was thrown open violently. Dylan, clutching his still bleeding forehead, stormed in with Ava, who had changed back into her clothes. He pointed a shaking finger at me, his face a mask of vindicated glee as he addressed Isabella. Well, no wonder you were in such a hurry to leave. You had a little rendezvous set up. He turned his full attention to her. Ma'am, you need to see this man for who he really is. The guy you're meeting with just finished beating up his wife's friend and is now on a date with you, a violent, controlling maniac. Ava chimed in, tears instantly streaming down her face. Lucas, I was so wrong about you. We're not even divorced yet, and you're already lining up your next conquest. Dylan pulled out his phone, aiming it at me and Isabella. Let's show everyone what the great Lucas Thorne is really like. The man who pretends to be so above it all, cheating on his wife right in front of her. I just smiled. I ignored him and turned to Isabella. My apologies, Miss Chun. A small domestic issue. Please excuse the interruption. Then I gave Leo a look. He understood immediately. Mr. Reynolds, he said into his phone, his voice sharp, this is Leo Chun, Mr. Thorne's executive assistant. Is this how the Apex Club handles client privacy? Letting just anyone barge into a confidential business meeting with Mr. Thorne. He paused. If you can't handle this, I imagine New York City will soon find it has no need for the Apex Club. The voice on the other end was frantic. Mr. Chun, Mr. Thorne, a misunderstanding, a complete misunderstanding. I'm on my way up to handle it personally. Seconds later, the club manager, followed by several large security guards, tumbled into the suite. He bowed repeatedly to me, his face slick with sweat. "Mr. Thorne, I am so sorry. This was a failure of our security. Rest assured, I will give you a satisfactory resolution." He spun around and barked at the guards. "Give me their phones." The guards moved in. Amid Dylan's protests, they snatched his phone, threw it to the ground, and crushed it under a heavy boot. Ava went ballistic. "What are you doing? What gives you the right to destroy our property?" She pointed at me. "Lucas, you can conduct your business. I won't stop you. But you have to apologize for having them attack us." I was about to respond when Isabella, who had been silent until now, slowly set down her wine glass. She looked at Ava, a slight smile on her crimson lips. "Sweetheart, if you want to handle a man like Lucas Thorne, tears and tantrums aren't going to cut it." Her gaze was dismissive. "Your little act wouldn't even get you a seat at the table." She then turned back to me, extending a hand. "Mr. Thorne, your family drama is certainly entertaining, but I'm more interested in our partnership." "A pleasure doing business with you," I said, shaking her hand. Beside us, Leo adjusted his glasses and murmured, just loud enough for everyone to hear, "It appears we'll need to find a new first lady to give the keynote at next year's company gala." The blood drained from Ava and Dylan's faces. "That kid, he gets me." I stood to escort Isabella out. "Leo, take care of this. I want it cleaned up before I get home." Ava was still screaming as I left. "Lucas, don't you walk away from me. You explain yourself." I didn't look back. I was pouring myself a drink at the villa when, less than 10 minutes later, Ava returned. Leo had clearly handled things and sent her home. She didn't come in crying. She came in furious. "Lucas, you went too far. How dare you embarrass me like that in public," she yelled. "You're carrying on with that Sean woman behind my back, and I haven't said a word, but I can't have some fun with my friends. You can flirt with your female clients, but I can't even have a guy friend? That is such a double standard. You have no respect for me." I stared up at the crystal chandelier, gently swirling the whiskey in my glass, treating her as nothing more than background noise. Seeing I wasn't reacting, she seemed to run out of steam and decided to graciously offer me an exit. She walked over and stood before me, looking down her nose. "Fine. For Dylan's sake, I'll let it go this time. I'll pretend you never heard him. And you can drop this nonsense about divorce. We're going to go back to how things were." She crossed her arms. "And from now on, you stay out of my business with my friends." I took out my phone, dialed Leo, and put him on speaker. Leo's calm, professional voice filled the room. "Boss, the partners at the law firm are on standby. Regarding your divorce from Mrs. Thorne, would you like them to deliver the separation agreement for immediate signature, or shall I schedule an appointment for tomorrow morning?" The look of magnanimous forgiveness on Ava's face froze and then shattered. She stared at the phone in my hand, utterly stunned. I hung up and finally looked at her. "Ava, for 4 years, I gave you a life that every woman in this city would envy. The designer bags you wanted, the limited edition sports cars, the penthouse in the heart of the city. Was there anything I ever denied you? I gave you my complete trust and freedom. I never questioned your parties, your friends, your spending. My voice was flat, devoid of emotion. Because of me, your father went from being a minor supplier to a top 3 player in his industry. With my investment, your sister is living the life of financial freedom she always dreamed of. I thought everything I gave you would be enough to earn your loyalty. But what you gave me in return was endless vanity, recklessness, and stupidity." I stood up. "I'm done." She completely unraveled, collapsing to her knees and crawling toward me, grabbing my hand. "No, Lucas, it's not like that. I love you, I really do. I was scared. You're so powerful. I felt like I couldn't hold on to you. I was just trying to find some sense of self-worth with my friends." I pried her fingers off my arm, walked to the closet, and took out a trench coat. As I put on my shoes at the door, I said, "I'm staying at a hotel tonight. You and your friends can have this place. You can play your games and find all the self-worth you want." My hand was on the doorknob when I delivered the final blow. "Leo will be here in half an hour with the divorce papers. Sign them, and we can end this without a war." "If you don't," I said, opening the door, "you'll regret it." The sound of shattering porcelain and her hysterical screams followed me out. I didn't turn around. I just gently closed the door behind me. 2 days later, In the executive lounge of my hotel, Leo handed me a tablet. Boss, your wife and Dylan Hayes are trending. On the screen was a clip from one of the city's trashiest talk shows. Ava, Dylan, and her clique of friends were sitting on a couch, discussing the fourth kind of love, a bond beyond romance. The clip showed Dylan peeling shrimp for Ava, wiping her mouth, and even sweeping her up in a ridiculously dramatic princess carry when she tripped. The host asked Dylan if, as her best friend, he worried about her husband's feelings. Dylan looked into the camera with a soulful expression. Someone who truly loves her would want her to be happy, not lock her in a cage of marriage. Leo commented dryly, "Bold move, boss. They're trying to brand themselves as the independent woman breaking free and her devoted, platonic protector. They'll buy a few bots to sway public opinion, and you'll be painted as the fun-hating, controlling corporate villain. They're trying to force your hand." I scrolled through the comment section. Just as he said, the trolls were already at work. OMG, the way he looks at her is pure love. This is true friendship goals. That CEO husband sounds like a total control freak who tells their wife who she can be friends with. Hashtag Team Ava. Leave the toxic husband and find true love. I laughed and closed the video. Let them. I turned to Leo. When someone is determined to self-destruct, not even a ghost can stop them. I gave him his instructions. Contact our European office. I want them to dig up everything on this Dylan Hayes from the day he was born until now, especially what he's been up to these past few years. I want it all. Also, edit together the most intimate clips from that TV show and send them to Ava's father and sister. Just say that as her son-in-law, I feel it's my duty to let them know how happy their daughter is. For the next 2 days, I went about my business as if nothing had happened. On the third morning, I told Leo, call Ava, ask her what she's decided about the divorce papers. Put on speaker. The call connected, and Ava's sleepy, irritated voice came through. Who is it? It's so early. Then a man's voice, rough with impatience, grumbled in the background. Who the hell is calling? Are they trying to wake the dead? It was Dylan. Leo's hand, holding the phone, froze mid-air. There was a frantic shuffling on the other end as they realized their mistake. A moment later, Ava's voice returned, laced with a smug confidence. Lucas, did you have Leo call me? She laughed. What, you regret it? Realized you can't live without me, and came crawling back. Well, I'll tell you something, it's too late. Unless you. I cut her off with a flick of my chin at Leo. He immediately ended the call. The next second, Leo, who was always the consummate professional, exploded. He slammed his hand on my desk, pacing furiously. What the hell? Those two shameless bastards. They think they're such a prize. He got more worked up, plopping down on my executive chair and grabbing my coffee cup as if to smash it. Regret it? Seriously? One's an idiot, the other's a snake. Together they're just. He was so caught up in his tirade that he didn't notice me just sitting there, watching him. When he finally looked up and met my murderous gaze, he shot up from the chair, as if it were electric. Slap! Slap! Without a moment's hesitation, he hit himself twice across the face hard. Boss, I'm so sorry. I'm an idiot. I let my anger get the best of me. I looked at his reddening cheeks and finally spoke. Give me the file from the European office and tell the PR department and our media contacts to get ready. It's time to go to work. 7. Ava's call came, her voice sharp and screeching. Lucas, did you delete my fingerprint from the door lock? What is wrong with you? And you sent that video to my father. Do you have to air our dirty laundry for the whole world to see? I watched the traffic flowing on the street below. Yes, I said calmly. The whole world needs to know about you and him. A text from Dylan followed, dripping with threats. Lucas, don't push it. Ava was just drunk. It was years ago. We took a bath, so what? Nothing happened. As for the party, I played games with everyone, not just your wife. What are you so jealous about? I replied with 2 words. Check TMZ. Less than 2 minutes later, another text arrived. You son of a bitch, you had me investigated? That afternoon, a bombshell story dropped across every major entertainment news outlet and social media platform. Shocker. Breakout reality star Dylan H. Exposed for massive gambling debts, served as high-end gigolo for wealthy women in Europe. The article was accompanied by graphic video stills and high-resolution photos. Even more damning, an anonymous source leaked a medical report from a top-tier private clinic in New York. It clearly stated, Dylan Hayes, HIV positive. After the story broke, Ava's friends group chat went nuclear. Everyone was frantically tagging her. At Ava Miller you knew, didn't you? You knew. And you brought him around US. OMG, I drank from the same glass as him. Am I going to die? Leo reported from the side, a grim satisfaction in his voice. Boss, the VIP slots at every major private gynecology clinic in the city are fully booked for tonight. It seems Mr. Hayes had his hands full. I shot him a glare. He shrank back. I was starting to want to hit him again. That night, Ava, flanked by 2 bodyguards, went to confront Dylan at the apartment where he was hiding out. But just as she got to the door, she ran into 2 of her best friends who had arrived with their own muscle. Their eyes met. The air froze. In an instant, they all understood they weren't the only ones who had been played. Ava's call came right on schedule. As soon as I answered, I was met with her hysterical begging. Lucas, I was wrong. I've done a lot of soul searching, and I've apologized to my dad. He's an animal. Lucas, please, help me get revenge on him. Please. Her voice was thick with tears. I know I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Please forgive me, just this once. I said nothing. I placed the phone on the conference table and put on silent. Then I put on my headset and began my transatlantic meeting with the European team about our latest acquisition. On the other end of the line, she must have sensed my silence. Her accusations faded, replaced by broken sobs. Lucas, I'm so sorry. I really am. Please come back. I know I didn't listen to you, and now I'm paying the price. It's my fault. I promise I'll make it up to you, okay? Please don't leave me. I'm begging you. Half an hour later, the meeting concluded successfully. Efficient meetings don't waste people's time. I took off my headset, grabbed my coat, and left the conference room. I left the phone on the table. 30 minutes after that, Leo found me in the lounge reviewing some documents. He was holding my phone. Boss, your call. It was still active. He handed it to me, a strange look on his face. I picked it up, and Ava was still on the other end, crying about how sorry she was. He cleared his throat and, in a perfect imitation of my tone, recounted what he'd said to her. Mrs. Thorne, my apologies, but Mr. Thorne left the office over half an hour ago. Then I asked her, who exactly have you been apologizing to for the past hour? The other end of the line went dead silent. Then a choke, disbelieving what? Then nothing. Leo hung up. The next morning, Leo's voice came over my office intercom. Boss, Ava and her family are here. They're at the front desk downstairs and are demanding to see you. I looked down at the documents on my desk. Let them wait in the lobby. When I finally went down, Ava's father, Mr. Miller, looked terrible, but he managed to force a smile. Lucas, you finally decided to come down. Ava's sister was dabbing at her eyes. Lucas, she knows she was wrong. She was tricked by that monster. For the sake of your 4 years of marriage, please, just give her one more chance. I looked at Mr. Miller calmly. Mr. Miller, you know as well as I do whether she was tricked or not. The divorce is happening. Her sister jumped in. What's this talk about divorce in a family? Ava just likes to have fun. What young person doesn't? You can't just... I cut her off. Those boutiques I invested in for you. I could take them back at any time if you'd rather not have fun with them anymore. Her face went pale. She said nothing more. Seeing that the soft approach wasn't working, Mr. Miller tried to play hardball. He slammed his hand on the reception desk and stood up, his voice dripping with righteous indignation. Lucas, let me ask you, if it weren't for that contract I gave you back in the day, your company would have gone under. Have you no conscience? Our Ava made a mistake, but it's not a death sentence. You dragged her and that lowlife's business out for the whole world to see. How is she supposed to live this down? Where are we supposed to hide our family's face? I looked at them and laughed. Mr. Miller, that contract made you more money than your company would have seen in a lifetime. I don't owe you a thing. As for your family's face, don't you think it's a little late to be worried about that? When she was out playing her disgusting games with another man, did she think about my face? About the Miller family's face? They were speechless. Ava, completely panicked, fell to her knees and grabbed my legs. Lucas, please, don't divorce me. I'll do whatever you say from now on. Mr. Miller, seeing his pleas were useless, resorted to making a scene. I don't care. If you don't forgive Ava today, I'm not leaving your company. I'll make sure everyone sees how Lucas Thorne repays kindness by driving his own wife to her death. I ignored them and turned to Leo. It's about time. Play it. My voice was cold. Let's let everyone see exactly why I'm doing this. Leo nodded. A moment later, the massive 3-story-high curved LED screen in the company lobby flickered to life. Playing on it was crystal-clear security footage from the Apex Club. Ava, in her lace teddy, passing a cherry from her mouth to Dylan's. The club may have been private, but my money was persuasive. The entire lobby fell into a dead, shocked silence. Every employee, every visitor stopped in their tracks, their faces turned up toward the giant screen in disbelief. Ava let out a desperate shriek. Don't play it. Turn it off. Turn it off. She tried to cover the screen, but it was hopeless. She just crumpled to the floor, sobbing. I walked over to her. Slowly, deliberately, I pulled the wedding band from my left ring finger, the one I had worn for 4 years. I tossed it into the decorative grate of a nearby water feature. Now we're even. Ava turned to her father, her voice a pathetic wail. Dad, help me. Make him get the ring back. Mr. Miller's face was purple with rage. He raised his hand and struck her, hard, 3 times across the face. Slap, slap, slap. I don't have a shameless daughter like you. Ava, stunned, fell to the ground, staring at her father in disbelief. Her sister let out a long sigh, too ashamed to stay, and moved to pull Ava to her feet. Just then, Leo appeared with one of the cleaning staff, handing her a bucket of water. Ma'am, could you do me a favor? Please flush this drain out. Vigorously. We can't have any filth clogging up the company's good fortune. The janitor nodded and began pouring bucket after bucket of water down the drain. After handling things at the office, I took my private elevator to the parking garage. As my car's headlights flashed on, they illuminated a crazed figure standing not far away. It was Dylan. His eyes were bloodshot. Lucas, look what you've done, you son of a bitch, he screamed, his voice raw. You scheming bastard. You ruined me. You ruined everything. I looked at him, my expression blank. Did I? Or did you ruin yourself? My calmness seemed to push him over the edge. He laughed, a sound more painful than a sob. 10 years ago, if it weren't for your company, Vanguard Innovations, would my father's business have gone bankrupt? Would I have been forced to go overseas and live that hellish life? You stole my market. You stole my life. So what's wrong with me stealing your woman? He was hysterical. Why you? Why does it always have to be you? I'd already found all this out in my investigation. My voice was tinged with a slight pity. Because you're a failure. 10 years ago, your family's business went under because it was garbage the market rejected. 10 years later, you're in this mess because you chose to become garbage yourself. He was shaking with rage. He pulled a knife from his jacket and charged at me. I'll ing kill you. From a distance, I heard Leo's panicked shout. Boss, look out. I sidestepped his clumsy lunge and delivered a sharp chop to his wrist. The knife clattered to the concrete. A clean hip throw sent him crashing to the ground. I planted my foot on his chest, pinning him. He was still screaming curses. Lucas, kill me. Go on, kill me. If you don't, I'll haunt you from beyond the grave. A dark shape moved quickly. A black tactical baton whistled through the air and connected with his kneecap with a sickening crunch. It was one of the company's security guards, who had rushed down with a terrified Leo. Dylan's leg bent at an unnatural angle. He howled, a sound that was barely human. At that moment, a group of menacing-looking men stormed into the garage from the other end. The leader, a man with a thick scar across his face, kicked Dylan squarely in the ribs. Dylan Hayes, you still owe the dragon money, and you have the nerve to show your face in New York? ing arrogant, even going on TV. Boys, get him. Beat him until he pays up. Dylan, on his knees, grabbed the man's leg. Dragon, please just give me a little more time. I'll have the money soon, I promise. The money he was referring to, I presumed, was the settlement he thought Ava would get from our divorce. Suddenly, a series of camera flashes lit up the garage. A dozen reporters, seemingly appearing from nowhere, swarmed the scene, their cameras aimed at the chaos. Dylan saw the flashing lights, saw the vicious loan sharks, and his face crumbled into absolute despair. He started muttering to himself, his eyes vacant. A familiar figure appeared at the garage entrance. It was Ava. She took in the hellish scene. The blood, the reporters, Dylan's insane mumbling, and the color drained from her face. She started to step forward, but seeing Dylan's crazed state, she hesitated, taking an involuntary step back. Dylan saw it. He stopped his nonsensical babbling and locked his eyes on her. His stare was pure venom. "Ava, you're running away too?" he shrieked. "You bitch, you can't run. You forgot about that night, didn't you? You slept with me. You're infected just like me. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. Ha ha." I stood apart from the pandemonium, watching Ava flee, a cold feeling in my chest. Leo was suddenly beside me, draping my coat over my shoulders. I looked down at Dylan on the ground. "I told you, a third time, and you disappear. Let's go," I said to Leo. Everything that happened after that had nothing to do with me. A month later, my divorce from Ava was finalized in a New York courtroom. With a mountain of evidence and her own lawyer offering almost no defense, the judge granted the divorce on the spot. Because of Ava's gross misconduct and adultery during the marriage, I was awarded 95% of our shared assets. She walked away with almost nothing. Later, I heard she left the city, spending her days consumed by regret. Her luxury goods were quickly sold off to pay for her living expenses and medical bills. Mr. Miller's company, having lost Vanguard Innovations as its biggest client and reeling from the public scandal, saw its stock plummet into bankruptcy. My investment in her sister's boutiques was pulled, and they shut down soon after. Dylan was diagnosed with an acute stress-induced psychotic disorder and committed to a psychiatric hospital. They say he spends his days screaming that reporters and loan sharks are chasing him. As for her friends, they scattered like rats the moment they learned of Dylan's diagnosis, taking to social media to proclaim their innocence and paint themselves as victims of Ava and Dylan's deception. I stood in my office, looking out over the New York skyline. The circus was finally over. Leo brought me a coffee. "Boss, I've concluded that this whole affair teaches us one thing. Never engage with an opponent whose IQ is below average. It lowers the tone for everyone." I smirked. "Are you angling for my chair again, Leo?" Just then, the front desk called to say Mr. Miller was downstairs again, demanding to see me. Before I could say anything, Leo picked up the phone and dialed our lawyer. "Mr. Davis, this is Leo Chun. Mr. Miller is on our premises, causing a disturbance again. Please issue a restraining order on behalf of the company and notify the police. Have security escort him out. If he resists, have him arrested for disturbing the peace." Hanging up, Leo shrugged at me. "With people like that, you can't give them an inch of hope. Otherwise, they stick to you like gum on a shoe." I gave him a thumbs up. "Nicely done. I'll add an extra 0 to your year-end bonus." My personal phone rang. It was Isabella Chun. "Lucas, the European lab acquisition is complete. Care to join me for a celebratory dinner?" I looked out the window. The sun was shining. "It would be my pleasure." After I hung up, I looked at Leo. "You little schemer. You've been trying to set me up with your sister this whole time, haven't you?" He froze, a bead of sweat instantly forming on his forehead. His face was a mask of pure panic. "Boss, what did you find out she was my sister?" I just smiled and didn't answer.